miss it.
Right. He always
Right.
talks about it. And the lady doing Spicer is just, it's right on time. I mean, it's right there. It's one of the best impressions ever.
Yeah. It's been a good good season. I don't think Saturday Night Live has been this good since Eddie Murphy.
Ah, that's hilarious. So locally, our veteran sportscaster Mark Giangreco was suspended by the ABC affiliate for calling Donald Trump, quote, a cartoon lunatic. And he described America as a country full of simpletons. ABC 7 Chicago's uh, statement reads, sports anchor Mark Giangreco's Twitter comments are not in line with ABC 7 Chicago's nonpartisan editorial standards. And of course, ABC is owned by Disney. They say, quote, we've reviewed the matter and are taking the appropriate action. So he will be suspended without pay. The suspension is slated to begin on Monday. This comes from the Chicago Tribune, and Phil Rosenthal said that efforts to reach Mr. Giangreco for comment through his agent were unsuccessful. Now, that goes back to the point we make to our students. You, as a person, me as Tasha, can feel however I'd like to feel. But if I report for ABC or the Tribune or NBC, I simply can't come out of the bag. My personal views now become construed or misconstrued, however that works, as that of the company I now represent. It amazes me how many people list their job on their Facebook profiles and then proceed to act a complete and total plumb fool. You know, so the tweet was in response to Toronto Star sports columnist Bruce Arthur's tweet. He said, quote, Donald Trump, a hateful, ignorant, corrupt simpleton supported by 87% of Republicans. And Giangreco's response was posted, so obvious, so disturbing. America exposed as a country full of simpletons who allowed this cartoon lunatic to be, quote, elected, end quote. Now, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that goes back, when the election was going on and we were talking about Donald Trump. And I said, I don't blame Donald Trump. I blame the stupid people that's voting for him, that believe in him. That's how I felt. But
see, if we worked for NBC,
ABC,
you could just say, okay, well,
and it's
they're
not,
elected.
it's not something they've done on the fly. It's something they've always done. I mean, Giangreco's been suspended before for personal attacks.
Yeah.
On ESPN, Mike Ditka, when he used to work there, he was fired, who is owned by Disney too, for making disparaging remarks against President Obama. So it's not they're strict on their people not giving their own bias in their reporting.
Yeah.
So
as it should be.
As it should be, yeah. I mean, it's I understand what you're doing, and I get it, and I agree with you. But you can't do that. I mean, no matter who it is, you can't be in the public eye being employed by someone, being a representative, and, just do what you want to do or say what you want to say.
Yep. And that's not just for media people. That's for anywhere.
Anything.
So you see it happening all the time. Aja, you said you get a lot of your information from Facebook, your news information from Facebook, but I know you've seen reports where someone has posted something and the people screenshot it and they immediately start calling the company listed.
Yep.
And I tell my students that, like, look, come here. I realize that you're on Facebook and you're having a good time. However, trust me, somebody's going to look at your page. Somebody's going to, find out what your thoughts are. And then it amazes me when you use, again, your full name. You've got butt pictures out. You've got ignorant comments. You've got swears. You've got, the drug usage, gang signs. Really? You want somebody to work for you? Particularly if you're going to work in media, because media people can find out anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like different people will go back, however long Twitter's been around, and go back to old tweets that you said.
Yeah.
You know, like, wait, I forgot I even had the thoughts of that. But
Yeah.
they got it, and they can get it, like you said.
Yeah.
Anything you've done.
I don't know. So, yeah. Stay informed, stay alert, but keep your opinions to yourself. I tell people, if you're angry about something, don't tweet it, don't Facebook it, text your friends. Or just put it in your notes. Well, really nothing's private anymore. So anybody who wants anything you've ever stated.
Yeah, but in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
45 is a cartoon lunatic.
Okay.
And he's orange. So.
The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of a vibrant mix.
Yeah.
Maybe, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told Tamika always says that's not my president. And I get it. But I'll always call him President Trump because of the people, how people disrespected President Obama.
He has that honor. Well, we'll find out if it was fair or square.
Now,
but he has
he
been
clearly lost the popular vote.
Yeah, but
I
mean, the electoral process, that's the law. So, he got it.
That's a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show. But he got it, and I respect him for having that office, for being the man in charge.
Y'all.
But, like I said, 45 is a cartoon lunatic.
Nice. So we're going to shift gears and talk to our wonderful guest who's been on the show before for her business, and we'll get to that too. Don't think we're not going to talk to you about Simple Beauty Naturals.
Yay!
But I want to talk to you specifically about homeschooling. So you're an entrepreneur, your wife, you're a mom, and homeschooling has been fascinating to me. Everybody who listens to the show knows that I was going to say a former educator, but that's not accurate. So I worked formerly in public education, and now I'm in the private sector at the collegiate level, doing something a little bit different. But at the end of the day, I'm still an educator. What is homeschooling? Like, it sounds like, I'm just going to teach my baby math lessons. Tell listeners what exactly homeschooling is.
Well, a lot of people have different approaches. There's unschooling, where it is kind of like, I'm going to teach my baby math lessons, or my baby is going to decide what he or she wants to learn, and we're going to go after it. So everybody has their own method. But for us, because I do so much as an entrepreneur, as a wife, as a mother, everything, and I work from home, it's a lot. So I have to have a schedule that fits with what I do. Okay. So homeschooling is just taking control and educating your child in, some people say, in the manner that parents see fit, but we follow protocol of the school system. I'm sorry, it's late. I'm just talking. Blah, 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 blah.
You're fine.
But, we follow certain procedures when it comes to educating our children. We have a 4-year-old and a 16-year-old. The 16-year-old is in college. So we only homeschooled him through high school.
Okay.
He was in private school when he was younger, in elementary school, and then his elementary school closed, and we just homeschooled him in high school.
Okay. And so what led you to say, this is what I want to do? I want to homeschool my child, my children.
Girl. Now, okay, Tasha and Fred, I don't want to offend either of you because we all went to the same school.
Yeah.
We went, and you all love that school. I don't want to say anything negative. But, I guess it goes back, I suppose, to childhood. My father worked with the Panthers. He worked with SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. So I grew up reading a lot.
Yeah.
And so I had read about Brown versus Board of Education. I knew about Thurgood Marshall. I knew about all this stuff. And I went to private school through elementary. And I begged my parents, I said, please, 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 I want to go to public school. And they didn't want me to go, but I ended up going to the same school that, all of us went to. And
yeah.
And it was we had a good writing program, I can say that. And when I first got there, I was in all these AP classes. Cool. I'm thinking, it's going to be great. But I got to our history class, and I'll never forget it. I was just having a conversation about this. Got to a history class, opened up the book, and it was written like in 1954, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I closed the book. I was done. And I think it was at that point I said that I wouldn't, if I have children, they would not be coming to the public school system. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, it just sparked from there. But the school system now is horrible, horrible. You know, you were in the classroom.
Yes.
I used to teach GED. I used to teach ex-felons. So I was teaching this, and I used to actually teach preschool when I was pregnant with my 16-year-old. But I'm teaching adults who can't read on a third grade level.
Yeah.
And I just cannot imagine sending our children to that kind of environment. I don't think that the school system is doing our children, Black children, Latino children, justice. And I don't think we should expect the system to do our children justice.
Yeah, it's kind of like my views on, you know, the government has never really been friendly to people of color, well, neither has the school system.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And why should they be? Why should the school system be set up to educate our children? Yeah. Why should they? Yeah. I mean, that's the system in which we live. I mean, we are not but a few years out of enslavement, out of the civil rights movement. Right. We're going through it all over again. I don't think it ever ended. I think people are waking up to realize it never ended right now with this administration. But why should we expect them to educate our children?
Yeah.
In the way that is going to allow them to be competitive.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad was big on reading. He made it. Now, he didn't appreciate the way I performed in high school because I was a real mediocre student. But I got to college and flourished.
Exactly.
And it was because I remember, so my dad didn't finish high school. My mom did. She didn't finish college the way she wanted to. Mommy always wanted to be a teacher. But what stuck out for me was watching my parents sit at the kitchen table with the mortgage person, I guess, to refinance that house for me to go to college. And I sat and I looked and I said, only 2 weeks ago did I recognize what kind of impact that had on me. Because I was like, I wonder what made me, yeah. I knew my parents paid for private school. Like you, I went to private grammar school. But my parents said, we can't do that for high school. So, yeah. And Lynn Bloom always had a great reputation. And some other people that I went to grammar school with were there. But I didn't do my best. It was that whole first taste of a little bit of freedom. And, you know, I was a top student in grammar school. And then I got to high school and was like, okay. You know, I wasn't bad, but I definitely didn't apply myself. But college made me see. And I went to Columbia, you know, liberal arts joint. So I was able to see a variety of perspectives, but then read, you know, on my own. So my dad is always, you know, on YouTube, watch this guy, watch, you know, this person, you know, it's about our history and our story. So yeah, I get that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So how did it work with your son? Like when you decided, when his school closed, what did you do? Is there certification? What does that look like for someone who's new or green to this?
Well, during that time, we were in the state of Illinois. So Illinois is pretty lax on homeschool.
Okay.
So he actually did go to a charter school for about a year and a half. He went to IIT, and I thought because they're connected with IIT, it's going to be a great school.
No, huh?
That was not the case. He was like, Mom, I feel like I'm in jail. And, you know, young Black boy tell me he feel like he in jail. You're out of there. I'm taking you out immediately. Yeah. I don't even need an explanation as to why. But he was just talking about the bells ringing. He wasn't used to that because he went to a small private school.
Right.
So we took him out. And I tell you, I was nervous because I was like, okay, I'm bringing him out of this environment. He's not going to be able to communicate, you know, because when we think about school, we just think about socializing. So yeah. He's not going to be able to communicate with other high schoolers. But when we brought him out, we started searching homeschool groups that had teenage students. So we found a really good homeschool group in the south suburbs. We were in the south suburbs by that time.